Today we're looking at generically how to perform a confidence interval calculation for the difference in two population means. So remember, our generic formula is the sample estimate plus or minus the margin of error. Here our sample estimate, as we learned in the sampling distribution information, is going to be x bar 1 minus x bar 2. And then our margin of error is going to be a t star times standard error, which is s sub 1 squared over n sub 1 plus s sub 2 squared over n sub 2. So remember that this product t star times standard error is what we call margin of error. So that's the new formula. Then identification, then step 1 is the same as it's been in the past, but here we'll identify the populations, so there will be 2, and we'll identify the samples, so again there will be 2. And again, in defining our parameter, here our parameter is mu1 minus mu2, and so it'll be the same process we've used in the past when identifying a parameter, but here, because we have 2 mu's, we'll have 2 different parameter definitions. So next, moving into step 2, we're going to state our assumptions, and here we have to assume that the sampling distribution of x bar sub 1 minus x bar sub 2 has a normal distribution. So remember, that's a gimme because of the formulas that we're using. To verify that those assumptions are true, we'll move into step 3 then, which is checking conditions. So to check conditions, both of the populations of measurements have to be bell-shaped, or you could call it normal. And if that's true, you don't really care how big the sample size is. Any sample size could be measured. Or if both populations are not bell-shaped, then you have to have what's considered to be a large random sample. And the textbook goes into a lot of detail in terms of what we could consider large. However, here, just for the sake of having a number to compare to, we'll use 30, but realize that that is affected by how big outliers might be that would affect the group. And finally, you have to assume that both populations are independent of one another. In step 4, we'll make the interval where we find a statistic. We'll find the t-star multiplier, and here we'll just use the conservative degrees of freedom, which remember is the smaller n minus 1. Then we'll calculate standard error. Subsequently, we'll use B and C to calculate D, which is the margin of error. And then finally, we will put all of that information into calculating the confidence interval in letter E. Then in step 5, we'll interpret the interval. And to do that, we'll use the same information that we've used in the past, how confident we are, our parameter, and the interval itself. But here, when we define our parameter, we'll put minus, but the thing that will change is instead of where we put minus in our parameter definition, we'll insert the interval. So that's generically how you perform a confidence interval. Next, we'll look at an example.